My man Czar make tracks like this.
What's going on, y'all? I wanted to give you my first impressions of the Fat Channel XT. This is the new Fat Channel that's been introduced in Studio One 3.5. I've been using it on a new mix I'm working on, and I want to give you my first impressions. I've used a lot of this gear in the studio, the analog, the hardware. I have many plug-in versions of these same models. So what the Fat Channel XT introduces is it's got a whole new user interface that I love. It's bigger, brighter, it's easier to see, and we have the new option now of some classic and vintage pieces of gear, LA2A, 1176, Pultec, and a Neve. So I'm going to start with the LA2A. So what I initially noticed with it is that the attack and release is a lot faster than a LA2A. Is the first thing I noticed, and it also doesn't have an opto sound, in my opinion. To me, opto compressors have a tendency to soften a sound when just ran through the circuitry of an opto compressor. I didn't get that with this, and like I said, the attack and release is a lot faster than I'm used to seeing on a LA2A. The Pultec is with Pultec EQs, you can really do a lot with a little with them, and I feel that when I use this, especially in the low end, where I love to use Pultecs, and I'll show you an example of that in just a second. But I compared this to my Warm Audio Pultec EQ as well as the soft tube one, and with this one, I really like the low end on it. The soft tube has really nice low end. Not crazy about the Warm Audio's low end, but they all have its place. It's really incredible to me that we can, a lot of companies model the same piece of gear or the same type of gear, and yet we all get different sounds every time. So, one thing about all of these is that they do sound different from other emulations from other companies from them. But I really like the passive EQ here, and here it is on a kick drum I've got here, and you see I'm just boosting 2 dB here at 100 hertz. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to play the kick, and then I'm going to bring it in. Really huge low end out of the passive EQ, and just to compare, if we use the Neve here, 110 hertz shelf, I can boost it 6 dB, and you'll hear just not getting the same low end that we was getting with the passive EQ. Moving on to the FET compressors, this is obviously modeled after an 1176. One thing I initially noticed that by default the output is set to 0, and not a fan of that, because the first thing you're going to do with an 1176 is drive the input until you get some compression. Well, in each time I've used it so far, once I start to drive the input, I'm already clipping and have added too much gain into it. So I really would wish the output would be, somewhere around, maybe somewhere around there, negative 18, around there. I like that we have the actual the time values for the attack and release here. Using 1176, sometimes I forget which way is fast and which way is slow. So it's good to have the time listed here, so you can easily tell which one's fast and which one's slow. Using the all buttons in didn't give me, I don't know, I guess that all buttons in aggressiveness and um, actually crazy meter ballistics that I'm used to seeing when using an actual 1176 and using the all buttons in. I just didn't get that with this selected, and even stepping through the ratios, I'm not hearing much of a ratio, in my opinion here. Uh, However, I've been able to get some good sounds out of this, and I'm not a huge fan of the 1176 anyway. So um, I'm really happy with what I was able to come up with. I think I have it on. I think I'm using it on the snare right now in this mix. The Neve EQ, I compared this to the Shep 73, the Waves Shep 73, which I absolutely love. Uh, they sound similar. However, with the Waves, I'm able to hear more of the transient, which is just odd to me out of a feeling that an EQ would affect the transient. But, I think I boosted, I think it was the 1.6 or the 3.2 on the snare, and I could really hear the transient just a little bit more on the Waves, and the Waves had just a little more body to me as well. So I know that sounds like a lot of negative about these, but what's really cool is that with it being in a channel strip, we're able to mix and match these. And because it comes from Presonus, we know that the CPU load will be low and it's going to work, of course, beautifully with Studio One. But being able to mix and match these, as well as we still have our option for the standard EQ and compressor from the channel strip. So, three different options for compression and EQ here. Of course, with the standard, we're able to really get in between those frequencies where the other two EQs are offer fixed frequencies. So, really good to have these three options and in a channel strip as well. And you're also able to reorder them, put your EQ before the compressor, which I don't think you could do in the last Fat Channel. I honestly didn't use the last Fat Channel too much just because it's just kind of hard to see to me, and the just the UI was kind of small. So I love how big and in your face this UI is. I'm a real big fan of plugins that I can easily see. One thing to point out that I really hope Presonus updates on this is that if let's say the EQ, for example, if I'm on the passive EQ and let's say I make some changes, go to 60 hertz. If I switch to the vintage and switch back to the passive, it's totally reset my settings. I would love to be able to flip between these, keeping somewhat of the same settings, just to quickly compare them. That would be really nice. Just one of the really cool features of the MIG DSP Ultimate compressor that I have. I can set a compressor and then I can flip through those different compressors and compare each one with close to the same settings there. So if you haven't already, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go ahead and download Studio One 3.5. Give this new Fat Channel a try. More options, the more better. Like I said, three EQs, three compressors. Um, it's gonna be really interesting to see how I incorporate these with the other ones that I have. Like I said, they all sound different, which is a good thing. I don't want, of course, we don't want something that sounds the same or exactly the same as something else. So there you go. That's my first impressions of the Fat Channel XT. Comment, let me know what you think, and I'll catch y'all next time.